GitHub, dev environment, Supabase, all set. Now we let AI actually build the app in step 4 of building a real web app with AI. You'll watch Codex design the database tables, write the SQL, scaffold the front end, and connect everything to Supabase. You'll also watch me fix one small issue, real world stuff. This is where the magic shows up. Let's go. Okay, so let's just look at the blank slate we have. Right now I'm in the Supabase and I'm gonna scroll over to the left. I'm gonna click my table editor. I have no tables here, okay? So we have an empty database, nothing here at all yet. If I go over to my VS Code, I have a brand new project, my first project. If I click on my Explorer tab up here, there's nothing but a README file. There's nothing here at all. So we're starting literally from a blank slate. I do have both Claude Code and Codex installed and ready to go. And this is where we're going to start to get this project going. 2 empty buckets. Let's tell AI what we want. So I had a conversation before I started this video with Claude Code, and I was brainstorming ideas, exactly what type of an app I wanted to do for this video to demonstrate an end-to-end application. And I came up with a guestbook web application. After I had this brainstorming session with Claude Code, I asked it to give me a prompt to kick this project off. I'm going to copy and paste that prompt right into Codex now. Let's take a look at what we have. I want to build a guestbook web application. Users can leave their name and a message, and the page displays all messages with the newest first. I have a fresh Next.js project, this folder, and an empty Supabase project. I need you to scaffold the Next.js app with TypeScript and a Tailwind CSS if not already set up. This is basically saying I need you to make sure you have everything in place to build a nice UI. Tailwind is the CSS for styling. This is the framework that I'm going to be using to build the code. The next thing I ask is design the appropriate Supabase tables for this guestbook, generate the SQL to create the tables, and set up row-level security policies for public read and write access. Tell me exactly what SQL to run in the Supabase SQL editor. We'll take that SQL that generates and we'll run it in Supabase ourselves. Install the Supabase JS package. Set up a .env local file. I'll provide my Supabase URL and anon keys. If you watched the last video, this is the information that we have inside of Supabase. We'll go grab those and we'll put them in this file here. Build the guestbook page with the form and message list, and end with the app running on localhost 3000. So localhost is my local machine where I'm going to be running this app. I'm not publishing this to the internet yet. We're building it all local on my machine. 3000 is the port that I'm going to be using. You could use other ports. This is the port that we're going to be using for this app. My Supabase project URL is this. I'm going to go grab that URL right now and I'm going to paste that in here. So I'm going to go over to my Supabase project. I need to grab my URL. So if I click here on my project and I click copy, there's my project URL. Okay, copy there. All right, now I'm going to go back over to VS Code and I'm going to paste that in there. The anon key is this. So I need to go get the anon key from Supabase. I'm going to paste that here. So if I go back over here, and the anon key is, I click my first project. I go down to project settings. The secondary menu is API keys. I click on legacy anon service role API keys. I click there. I scroll down. Here is my anon public key. So I click copy and then I go back to VS Code and I paste that here. All right, so now I have a prompt for Codex to go start building. This is where we just hit submit and we watch and interact as needed. Right now we're in a watch it, wait, stand by because it might have some questions that it needs from us. But other than that, we're just watching it do some work. Notice that it's doing some thinking, planning out what it's going to do. Okay, we have our first question. Do you want to allow downloading the Next.js scaffold and dependencies so I can bootstrap the app in this folder? Yes. So I did not do this step in any of our previous videos. I didn't get all the things that we needed to build a Next.js app. So I'm saying, yes, you can go ahead and do that. So I clicked yes. And it's just going to download, install, and set that up for me. I don't have to do any of that work. Previously, before we had an environment like this, you would have to go to the internet, you'd have to find that, you'd have to download it, you'd have to run the install commands. We don't have to do any of that. If it needs something that it's missing, it just goes and downloads and installs that. So this is the fun part. I don't know what it's going to come back with. It may come back with something that I didn't anticipate. So I will see what it comes back with and will adjust and move forward as needed. Some of the text that you'll see here, I typically don't pay too much attention to these because it's doing thinking, it's talking to itself. At the very end, when it's all complete, going through its process, it'll give me a recap of what it did, what it learned, what it needs, what was complete, what's not complete, what the next step is. So I don't have to really pay too much attention to all of this. I'm just watching and waiting for it to finish, and then we'll figure out what the next step is after that. You can click stop here at any time. I very rarely click stop. I let it complete because if it did something I didn't want to do, I can always roll back and undo that. So I always let it just finish its process. Maybe I'm stopping it from doing something and I haven't seen that recap that I was talking about. So let it run its course and we will adjust, roll back, make whatever next change we need to do at that point. Okay, I have another question. Do you want to allow NPM to download the Supabase SDK and update the lock file so the app can run locally? Yes. NPM stands for Node Package Manager. It's the tool that installs and manages JavaScript packages, libraries, frameworks, tools on your computer. When you build a Next.js app, you're not writing every piece of code yourself. You're using thousands of pre-built pieces of code that other developers wrote. Next.js itself, Tailwind, the Supabase client library, NPM is how you get those pieces and keep them updated. It's like the App Store, but for code. If you notice, I'm going to scroll up here. You're going to see that it's doing lots of thinking, okay? And every once in a while, you're going to see some code run. And if I click on these, edited 2 files, ran 2 commands, if I click on this, you can see the code that it wrote here. It's creating some SQL for us now that we're going to run later. Okay, look at this. Not too bad. So I think I forgot to look at the timestamp. We'll go back and check that out. But it took maybe 5 or 10 minutes to do that coding for us. So let me roll up here to the top of this and see what it said. The app is scaffolded locally with Next.js, TypeScript, and Tailwind. It installed Supabase. The env local is already filled with your Supabase URL and my anon key. And the guestbook UI is built. The SQL is also saved here. Before I can test it out, I need to create these tables. So let's click copy code. Let's go over to Supabase. And I'm going to go to my SQL editor. Well, first of all, let's look. Again, no tables, okay? I'm going to go to my SQL editor. I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to paste the SQL that it gave me. And then I'm going to just click run. And I'm going to say, yes, run this query. So it's success. Let's go look at the table editor again. Okay, we now have a table that we didn't have before. So if I click on this table, I have a table with these columns, an ID, a name, a message, and a created at timestamp. Perfect. Let's go back to our editor and I can say, all right, we are done. We ran the SQL. So it says it's going to start the app, but let's see what it does. The Supabase side is in place. I'm starting the server. Do you want to allow starting Next.js server on this outside of the sandbox or the guest box? Yes, I want you to run that. Perfect. The server is up and listening. I'm doing one quick check against the local page. So everything's working correctly. Okay, excellent. Literally just bring up a web browser and I type this address. It's actually going to run whatever it built on my local machine. So let's do that. I'm going to bring up another tab here. I'm going to, and here it is. This is what it built. Now I didn't give it any design input at all. Whatever it built here, it just figured out all on its own. I might want to, in a future pass, I might say, hey, you know what? I want a dark tone. I want to use this font. Whatever you decided you wanted to do. But it came up with something all by itself, and this is what it designed. This is a community guestbook backed by Supabase. Messages are stored in a public guestbook table row. Leave a note for the next visitor. So my name is Ed Bordy. My message is having fun building software. post the message. Oh, I got some kind of an invalid key here. That's cool. So we'll find out what that is in a minute. I click post message. So think that there's some sort of an issue. They'll have an invalid key. So what I'm going to do is I need to find out what that is. So let's go back to here. I'm getting a message. What was that message? Invalid API key. I already think I know what the problem is, but let's close this. Let's see what it says. So it's doing some debugging for us. It's checking the stored env value against the key you provided. Okay, so it's telling us to go into Supabase, go into settings, copy the anon key for the current publishable key, replace this in this file with that value. So if I click here, this is the file that I need to fix. I need to replace the next public Supabase anon key, the next public Supabase anon key here with what I have. All right, so let me go and grab that. Go here, go here. I'm going to project. I'm going to API keys. Let's grab this. Let's go back here, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to click save. Okay, I updated the key based on what it asked me to. I asked it to stop the server. It stopped the server, and I want to go show you. So if I go to the local host, you can see that it can't be reached again. And the reason I did that is because I want to show you how to start and stop the server yourself. Open up the terminal window. You can open up this by clicking this little icon up top right. It opens a bottom window with the terminal in it. And I want to type npm run dev. This is basically a command that you can run to the Node package manager to start your own dev environment. That's the same thing that Codex did for us. So now if I go back over here and I hit refresh, it should be running again. All right. Now, I did what it said to do. Let's see if that fixed our problem. This is fun. Wow. That was it. I think we had the wrong API key. I put the exact API key that it asked me to put in there, but when I changed it to the public key, it worked. So that's pretty cool. I put my name, I put a message, and there it is. That's my name, there's the message. And it's stored in the database, right? So if I go over to the database, I bet, and I click back onto my table editor, and I click here, look, that table now has one row. It's got my name, it's got my message, it has the timestamp, and it gave that an ID. If I add another one, my wife's name is Linda. How are you? Okay, so this is working. You notice we didn't have to install any of the packages, none of the Tailwind, none of the Next, none of the Supabase. Codex did all of that for us. And it just connected to the database. It gave us the SQL that we needed to write. You saw how easy that was. We just pasted it in here and hit run. And then it did the rest of the work for us. If I go back here, you can see that I'm running it here. And if I wanted to stop this, I can just hit Ctrl+C here. And now if I go back, I can see, if I refresh this, that the system went down. And if I go back here again and I say npm run dev, it starts up the local dev server. I click refresh. And it's done. So, okay, we built a simple front-end UI that connects to a back-end database that's fully working. One thing I want to show you, if you go up to the Code Explorer, look at all the files that didn't exist before, but the system created for me. We literally have a fully functional web app. I probably had a conversation with Claude Code for about, I don't know, less than 1 minute, just brainstorming an idea. It gave me a prompt. I typed the prompt into Codex. It built it. There was 1 or 2 little tweaks that I needed to make, and I had a live web app. I did practically nothing other than just oversee and drive this process. Real data, real database, a real app, built in, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. Probably 5 or 10 minutes max if I wasn't stopping and narrating the whole time. So now that everything's built, my next step is to commit these changes using Git. If you're not sure what that means, watch my video, link in the description on Git and GitHub. And when I commit these changes, it's going to be saved and committed locally on my machine. And it's going to be version controlled so that I have a record of the changes that I made that I could roll back if I wanted to. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the next video, not in this video, I'm going to push those changes to my GitHub account so that it can get picked up by Versal, my production host platform. And this application that we built here, when we do that last step in the next video, will be not just visible on my local machine, but it'll be visible and accessible live on the internet. So that's the next video. But I am going to right now commit these changes, right? So I click here. These are all the changes I made. I click these three dots. I'm going to say commit. I'm going to say commit all. I scroll down and you give it at this last message. These are all the changes that were made. I'm going to click on the last row. I'm going to put a comment, which is what we did. So initial guest book app. I'm going to click commit. I'm going to say save. And there. So now I built the app. I committed it on my local machine using Git. And in the next step, in the next video, I'm going to push those changes. I'll show you how to do that so that it can go live on the internet. We have a working app, a database, front end, the whole thing, built by AI in minutes. Right now, it only runs on my local computer though. Next, Versal. We get it on the internet so anyone in the world can use it. All 5 videos, tools, and the companion page linked below. I'm Ed, the Solo Builder. See you in step 5.